So there's just what's appearing to happen. There's energy. It's unknowable, indescribable, unobtainable, inescapable. It's everything and it's no thing. These are not two different things. They're not things. They're not. There's for the person. There's a sense of there's a dualism, and the person is that dualism. The dualism is life and death, something and nothing, me and the world. What's being illuminated here is non-duality is not something that it's not a thing. There's no such thing actually as non-duality, really. It's not a concept, it's not an idea, it's not something you need to know or can know. It's not about knowing anything. It's this lived sense, this lived reality for you, that there's a you and there's a world out there. And this illumination from nothing can resonate, and resonate in a way in which that sense, that contracted, lived sense of feeling in the body looking out on the world, can just collapse. And if it does, it's seen that even that collapse is a story, because it's immediately obvious to no one that that sense of being separate was only ever a story, was only ever artificial. You are already not a separate individual. There are no separate individuals. There's just energy. Peopling, computering, seating, voicing, everything is no thing, is simply energy. This is the unconditional love that's sung here. And in this illumination, it's completely fine if there's any kind of question about the nature of feeling like that separate self, how exploring that, talking about that, sharing something, asking some sort of question about what's being suggested here. This is how this whole thing appears to function, is there's a suggestion. It's not a teaching, it's a sharing. It's just a sharing, and in that sharing, that illumination, there appear to be questions and there appear to be answers. There's something underneath that, questions and answers. There's something beyond that, that's only energetic. That's nothing to do with a question or an answer. And it's a resonance in which the obvious is seen, is open, obvious, effervescent isness is just suddenly seen by nobody, and that sense of being a person is no longer. So we'll see what happens. If there's a question, maybe just put question on it. Sometimes if there's a lot of comments and I read through them and they're not really questions, so or else best to even put up your hand really and we can talk. So we'll see what happens. Hi, Andy.
Good morning,
How are
Kenneth.
you?
Hi. Um, can I just sort of fire a few questions at you and
Yeah, of
just
course, yeah.
ideas?
Uh-huh.
So nothing happens,
Mm-hmm.
nothing actually changes when what you've just described.
It something changes and it doesn't change. So it's the same and it's indescribably different. So what's being illuminated is that you're already not there. It's already the case that there's just this. But that sense of being separate, which is a lived reality for you, is artificial. So when an artificial thing collapses, what's seen straight away is that it wasn't a real phenomena. It was artificial. So it was you were
Mm,
never actually there. So that's what I'm saying when I say that.
yes.
And actually, then what's seen is by nobody is that there's just what's appearing to happen. Um, and the shift is out of a lived feeling of feeling like a person who's moving through the world in time and space in that linear manner, in a very kind of sequential kind of way in which things are happening to you and to others and so on in time, and that all collapses totally. So everything that was taken to be completely real and happening in the story is seen to just be a story. It's just a story. For the person, it's not a story. Like life isn't a story for people, it's real. I'm real. I really got out of bed this morning. I really turned on the computer. I'm really speaking now. There's a living in the real. Everything is absolutely real. And then, if that when that sense of being separate is no longer, it's an appearance. It's a story. It's what's appearing. It's a play of light, whatever way, whatever words you want to use. So the shift then is from something feeling like a person in a world in which things are happening to there just being energy in which there just being the appearance of things happening.
Yes.
It's impossible for the person, the individual, to understand that. It cannot really be understood. It's only ever seen when really the person's no longer so, oh, okay. It can be understood maybe conceptually, but then that's just a concept the person has of what's being shared.
Yeah. So you're saying it's the simplicity of this points
Oh,
to that it is now as it is, but the feeling, the
utterly
residual,
simplistic. Yeah. Sorry, go on. I interrupted you there. The feeling what?
the residual feeling, if you like, that someone is here living, um, is not the same as the appearance of the wall. It's a seeking illusion. It's a sense of reality.
It's a sense of reality that there's the appearance of the wall. Is it?
No, I'm saying that there are two. I'm referring to two different things.
Mm.
The sense of someone, of a
Yeah.
person, is not the same as the appearance of a wall to you. The difference is that the the person, the feeling of the person, is the sense of there being something real, and that therefore is the illusion. The
Yeah.
wall is not an illusion; it's just an appearance.
Yeah, but the difficulty is everything then, when you feel real as a real person, everything is within that then.
Yes.
Everything is real within that. And that's that
So the
subject
wall is
object
real to
reality.
me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's because if you feel a subject, right, everything is an object to the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when I feel like a person and it's a lived feeling, it's a lived reality for me that I'm in the body, then what happens is I'm looking at a wall, right? And the wall is, 3 meters from me and would take
Mm.
me a second to go get over to. So there's that lived sense of being in time and space. And so what's been suggested here is that actually it's just energy walling. It's life walling, life microphoning, life computering, and it's the exact same as when you feel like a person, but when you no longer feel like a person, it's the same, but it's in also indescribably different
Okay.
because it's life walling, energy microphoning, energy computering, energy anything. So all there is energy. It's totally beyond the mind then. And it's that prison, it's that it's almost like an imprisonment of everything in the prison of you, because there's this reality of the you and the wall, you and the sunset, you and the tree, you and the friend, the wife, the husband, the child. It's that's that reality the person appears to be in, which is dissatisfying. Then there's something about that. Then that there's a question about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Why is this reality happening? And why is there no reason before you say there's no reason?
why is there why is there no why? So that's a
Exactly.
nice way of I mean, what do I even say then?
I gotcha.
Why comes from the sense of being separate. So why really all comes back to, all of the whys come back to, why am I separate? Why is there a world out there and a me here who's relating to it? That's really what it's all about. And the answer is there's no answer, because you're already not separate. So there's no, the person feels there's an answer to all of these whys because they are in that the being a person is that closed loop of knowing. So there has to be an answer for the person, but any answer is just within that and just feeds that and continually just is in that loop, that artificial loop of knowing. Obviously that's very dissatisfactory answer to the person. Of course it is.
Super. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Andy. Nice to
much.
speak to you. Hi, Victoria.
Everybody asking from me why, like a
Yeah.
5 years old children, why not?
Yeah. Why? Why? But
Why not?
it's the person
But
that
why
asks why.
not? This is my answer,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Why
I'm
not?
so
Yeah.
direct. I don't trap anyone time, so why not?
Yeah. Sometimes you hear that as well, and people say, and sometimes it can resonate when I've heard it from children who've gotten sick, and people said, why, and they've said, why not me? Why not me? And then people kind of stunned by that. Then, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, but why not? Why not me? Why not this? Why not this thing that appears to be happening?
And
Yeah.
I like also that one when someone said, if we would met at that time, and everything would be different
Everything will
now.
be different. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but if my mother would be my father,
Yeah.
she would have a dick or something.
Yeah, in Ireland we say if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle. So that's what when people, it's a very common saying here when people say, well, if I hadn't done that, no, that thing wouldn't have happened, and then I wouldn't owe all this money now, or I wouldn't did it. And the person would say, and if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle, wouldn't she? So I mean, it's all up here. It's all thinking that maybe things could have been, and some people have that more than others. Some people, that's very, very strong. They're continually thinking that things should have been different, or could have been, and things would have worked out much, much better. They never really think things would have worked out worse. Really, it's always would have been better, wouldn't it?
And
Yeah.
actually, the newest thing, what I experienced, not I, but everybody gave me an advice how to eat and how to da da da. And now it's changed. And they
Yeah.
always compare. me uh, with them. The newest thing, it is happened with me, and I do what you doing. And what did you do? And they have a tale about this story, and I didn't do it ever. So I'm
Yeah.
like you. I'm like you.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's the story. That's it.
Ah. Every day, a very long new story. So
Yeah. And you'll keep laughing anyway, Victoria. Last night I saw, was it last night or maybe the night before? I saw a program, um, a documentary on this company, We Work. I don't know, did anyone see it? It's this company. It was set up in America, and for me, it's beautifully illustrates the emptiness of all of this story of it's a company that set up a shared office space, so which was all it started in about 2010 in America, and instead of just calling themselves a real estate company that shared office space, they were a collaboration of like-minded creative people who are inspiring each other and raising consciousness. So it wasn't real estate. No, we're not into real estate. So this was the brand, and the money started flooding in, and the money didn't stop flooding in. So there was such an investment from all over, and it seemed to be just one blank check after another, that they expanded at light speed and went all around the world. And then, because there was so much money coming in, they weren't too concerned about making money or actually running the company in a profitable way. And the whole concern was about, the whole thing was running on this story of how we move from little me to we, and that's a powerful thing to this community. And it reminded me of all of these stories about oneness and wholeness, and these theories and concepts that we can have and that are expressed about it, and that how it's such a lovely ideological thing to think, oh, we can all be as one, and we just do this and this, and then we'll all be as one, and it's lovely. And it's a concept, it's an idea. And then his whole, there was a particular person at the helm, and the whole idea was that it got to the point where they were doing the IPO, at which point then they'd have to publish all their stuff, and it would be quite apparent that it was a shit show of epic proportions. I think it was 100 million a day, 100 million a week they were losing at one point. The money was still coming in, 48 billion or something it was valuated at. And he said, I'm waiting to for the IPO. It's not the right time, because in order to do the IPO, I'm not just interested in money. I want to raise collective consciousness in the world. So I'm going to wait till I know that that's ripe for that. I mean, have you ever heard such utter bullshit? I mean, you listen to this documentary, you blow your mind, like this nonsense that people come out with, and the emptiness of it all. It was such a gorgeous illumination of the emptiness of all of this world of making money like this in a company, and all of these concepts that are kind of built into it in terms of collective consciousness, raising the consciousness in the world, making the world a better. One of the narratives was, we're making the world a better place. How lovely. We're not just making money, we're making the world a better place through our company. And actually, we'll just do this, and then we're going to pick world hunger. We're going to go for that. We're going to eliminate that next year, you know. And the feeding frenzy that went into it was just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And for me, it really is just a lovely illumination of this whole story of me, in the sense that the story of me having a concept of being everything and bringing out all these lovely ideas, and everyone being full of this inspiration and concepts of say, let's say, call it oneness, or being together and being we and everything, and how it's completely, totally empty. And it's beautifully empty, because it's the invitation to see that all of that is empty. There's already no me. There's already no separation. And all of these endeavors are endearingly, beautifully, completely and utterly futile. They're just, all they actually do is just feed the me. It's worth checking out. And then, of course, the arse fell out of the whole thing. And I think there's actually a series on one of the streaming channels about it now. So they've done a series and they've done a documentary. And of course, though the other aspect I thought was really nice was this idea of specialness. So what people do is they really feel that these individuals are special individuals, and they speak like that. Then they speak like, this guy's not even just worried about profit. He's actually wanting to raise world consciousness. It's amazing, you know. And it's this sense of authority and specialness we imbue into people, and people really feel it's real. And he walked around one of the headquarters, and he thought that a latte was a cappuccino, so they gave him a cappuccino when he ordered a latte. And instead of just someone saying to him, you do know that you're looking for a cappuccino, that's not a latte, or it's called you know, they fucking changed the name they changed what a latte meant and what a cappuccino meant. So when everyone went in said, they had to explain to everyone who was new, when they asked for a cappuccino, you do know, sorry, that a cappuccino is actually a latte in this building, and a latte is a cappuccino. Instead of having a 10-second conversation with this guy and saying, oh, you've got those two things mixed up. And it just, because you couldn't say that to him, because he's special, isn't he? He's amazing person. He's full of authority and specialness, and that's all an aspect of the story of me. All of that collapses when the sense of you being separate collapses. It's what would you call it? It's endearing, and it's just totally artificial and empty, and all of that sense that there are people who are special, who have authority, all that, it's gorgeous. It all just completely, totally and utterly falls apart, and is very clearly seen to be only an aspect of you feeling like a person, a separate person. And within that story of you being a separate person, there are special individuals who do special things, and so on and so forth. And then when that story is set in place, there's a feeding frenzy around that, because you want some of that specialness. And the way the whole thing appears to go is it actually feels special to you when you're involved, because that's the whole energy of it. Invariably the whole thing collapses and you get a documentary on Disney and showing you how the whole thing was empty all along. Anyway, Victoria, your hand is up again, is it? Or is
yeah. Actually, I just add to it, you know, the Jose Silva, the mind control guru, you know, 20 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't know him, no.
Okay, I just tell you, this was a mind control part. The money control or something was the title, and everybody went into the room, and everybody said how much money I need per month, 1 million, 2 million, and they have a circle, and the
Okay.
guy who wanted 2 million in the circle, and everybody like a mantra, you know, you will
Oh
get
yeah,
2
yeah, yeah,
million. No
yeah,
school, no brain, no nothing, but you will get 2 million per
yeah. Of
month.
course.
So this is the same thing actually.
Yeah.
And the other thing, did you know we go from CD consciousness to 5D consciousness right now?
I didn't. Nobody told me about the upgrade.
Okay, I
Where can I
tell you.
download that upgrade? Because that sounds good. I'd like that.
I know everything, so I can tell you.
Yeah, there's a new version of consciousness.
Yeah, yeah.
Download now or later. Maybe I'll leave it for a while. I'm not ready. I'm not quite ready.
No?
I'll let it download overnight, maybe. Yeah, I know it's all the same bullshit, packaged differently. You're right. Yeah, one guru after another, and it's amazing because the story just changes, but it's the same. It's the same thing. You know, it's either in this case it was a company. So it's all about making money, but it was amazing the way he managed to kind of weave the story with all this lovely psychobabble, spiritual kind of nonsense that people enjoyed or people bought into. Then
And
But
I
yeah,
have a good news too.
okay,
Someone came here to buy Muji pictures and malas from here because I wanted to get rid of from that. And the guy arrived. He has a kunti mala in his head, neck. So maybe I suspect he's in the Hare Krishna movement. And when I get the money, he asked me why I want to get rid of from this because because he is like a Hare Krishna movement, the same sect, you know, and he's like some speaking like a person to the person. So you want to develop yourself, but it's absolutely meaningless. So doesn't matter. And his wife just do this and laughing. And the guy, I see the anger or something like this, and I
okay,
said, okay, goodbye, thank you to rid of me from this shit.
I'm sure. Yeah,
And my friend said, you have to sell something more because
yeah.
you are
Keep selling.
very.
Okay, just wait till the money's in your pocket before you make those kinds of suggestions.
And actually, I want to thank to you because when we met 2 years ago or something, I sold my Hare Krishna plot in the countryside because I insist on this. But after I spoke with you and I heard you, somehow somebody coming and buy the plot. So I
Oh,
get
lovely.
rid of from every sheet what was a burden on me.
That's great. I
Thank
think I
you,
deserve
Kenneth. Thank you.
I think I deserve a cut of all this money you're making
Yes, you
from
deserve everything.
from
Yes.
liberating yourself from all this spiritual mumbo jumbo. I think let me come up with a percentage and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, yeah. That's why my friend sent you to your bank account, so you know now.
Yeah, there
This
you
is.
go.
Thank you.
Thanks. Andy, it's called I know that it's I think it's if you Google we work documentary because the company was called We Work. It's still there and everything. It's just it's an interesting story. Hi Thomas.
Hiya, Kenneth.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for this. Yeah, Victoria's a beautiful person, loads of energy. Yeah, I suppose just back to the talk for a second is that I know this is a religious thing, but an eternal flame.
Mm.
It feels very much to me like that this is the eternal flame, that everything is just this.
Yeah, this is eternity. This is eternity right now, but there's no now. So people wonder about eternity, and they feel that they can um, use time to access it, which is really endearing and lovely. That this is already eternity. This is infinite and eternal, whatever appears to be already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, and then that's that's what's illuminated really in this, is the ridiculousness of trying to use time to get to eternity, and that's essentially what sums up what the individual is trying to do to not be an individual. And all of these practices and things that they feel they can do to bring about wholeness is trying to use time to get to eternity. So it's completely futile, gorgeously futile, because all there is
Mm-hmm.
nothing being everything, which is eternal and infinite.
Mm. Even in that like that this is the only moment there is, and just things are changing in this moment as
It's
it
not
appears.
I wouldn't even say it's a moment, but yeah. There's not even a moment, like there's not even a now, or yeah.
But there seems to be some, just looking at it, there seems to be some form of intelligence backing it all up, or whatever. And I know that's creating two things, but
yeah, that's a story for the person, that there's some intelligence behind everything.
Yes.
There is no behind everything. There's the immediacy of what appears to be, which is everything, and it's nothing being everything, and that in that arises a boundless intelligence.
Right. Yeah.
But it's nobody's. It's simply that.
Yeah.
Whereas the person, because they feel like a person, the sense of being like feeling like a person is there a real sense that there's some kind of higher something, or it has to be like, even if it's, say, traditionally, obviously it would be God, right? So there has to be a God, because there's the creator and so on. And then that sense of the concept of God can collapse, and then that's just replaced really by a different kind of higher. Sometimes people talk about the universe will this, or the universe will that. It's just a substitute for that God thing. It's all that's all from that sense of you being a little me, and there has to be some sort of higher, bigger creator or something like that. And that collapses. Excuse me. That collapses when the sense of you collapses. And it's seen then that there's no higher, there's no lower, there's no inner, there's no outer. There's simply energy in what appears to be happening. And then it's stunning. Then it's beyond words. It's beyond description. Then a real adventure in unknowing begins, really.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it?
It's completely indescribably amazing, and also absolutely ordinary, totally and utterly, because it already is just what appears to be.
Even the whole part of getting caught up in the self and crossing the bridge, or I know there's no bridge, but having a realization, or dropping the self, or whatever way we want to word it, that's a beautiful process as well. It's truly magnificent when you see.
It's just energetic, and it's just what appears to be happening. Yeah. So the person, the energy of feeling like a person is just what appears to happen in energy. It's energetic. Yeah. There's nothing that isn't. Like what's being suggested here and what's being shared here is completely inescapable. Because you are already nothing being everything. And there is no separate you, but there may be the lived feeling that there is. And so then there's no agenda here to remove that, to take that away, to soften it, to do anything with it at all, because I can't see it. It's not etchy, it's just a story. That's all it is. And so what's shared here may resonate or may not, or is heard as it's heard.
I was thinking last night that the story, if you were to name the story, it's a bit like Austin Powers' Mini Me.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that, Kenneth.
Thanks. Nice to speak to you. Thank you.
And you.
Kenneth.
Hi, Eva.
Hello. Sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand, so.
Yeah, you're fine. You just jumped right in there. No problem at all.
It was interesting what you said before about God and some kind of authority that we always look for. So to me, it seems like there is me and wants to belong somewhere, and has a position, some kind of a position, isn't it? Like, so there's me, and then there's somebody above me, and there's somebody below me, and
Yeah.
but it's I want to be here, and I am here by saying there's a God or there's a president or whoever.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
possible?
like it's a lived reality of when you feel separate, of there being special and not special, and important and not important, and life is very much kind of divided into those kind of categories, and there's levels to importance, and then you put yourself in there somewhere. So there's people more important than you, less important, so on. Even though you might say that there is nobody more important than you or less, but the lived reality of being a person, it's quite typical for there to be those kinds of things, and a real sense that there are people who are special and important. It's amazing. Like, I don't know if you've ever been anywhere where some sort of politician or a supposedly important person, maybe a famous person, or kind of, and they arrive into, it's theatrical, like it's circus. It's so funny to watch people, and they're really kind of, they get very, excited, like this really important person's actually going to be, or I'm going to be, I could maybe touch them. Such bullshit. It's amazing. It's so lovely, really. And that's the way we feel. It's a really lived reality for the person. Yeah. And that when that collapses, it's indescribable. But like, this is this is the real leveler, not the one that talks about equality for this group or that group, and all of that stuff is just getting really, really kind of going to very strange places now. As regards trying to, equating one group with another, and conditions in which one group have to acknowledge this privilege and that privilege, and the whole story just is going to get more and more and more and more and more and more kind of crazy, really, and irrational and complex. And actually, the great leveler is just this. The great leveler is to see that actually there is nobody. There's just energy. And energy appears as a black person, a white person, a brown person, a pink person, whatever. And it's all just life. There's no greater leveler than seeing actually there is nobody. There's just life. There's just energy. And then how could there possibly be anything that's more important than anything else? It's all a story. And everything actually is unconditional love. Because this is unconditional love. Nothing being everything. It's boundless, unknowable, unobtainable, inescapable, unconditional love.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, hi, Andy.
Oh, hi, Kenneth again. Yes, it's part of the illusion, I guess, of the individual self is that um, it seems impossible that there's no vulnerability to this apparent shift, that there's nothing that can make the shift happen or not happen.
Oh, of course, definitely.
Is
That's ludicrous to the person, because the person lives in a series of sequential causal happenings. So the suggestion that there's nothing that can bring it about is just, that is beyond understanding then, because, and it's very frustrating to the person, because the person lives in that reality of one thing happens, another thing happens, another thing happens, and we're a suggestion here then that that sense of being a separate you could possibly be no more. That can only be heard by the individual as a happening. So therefore, if it's a happening, something must precede it which brings it about. And that's the what's being suggested then is extremely frustrating then. Very, very frustrating, because I mean that's that whole reality for the person. How could it not be that way? It has to be. It has to be. There has to be something that triggers something that brings something about. It has to be for the person. But that's the whole energy of feeling like a person, that in that lived reality, that it feels so real, that in actuality, when that sense of being a person is no longer, it's you many people have said this, it's despite anything that appeared to precede it. Despite
what do you mean, despite?
Despite anything that, so the person may feel that they're doing something to bring something about.
So,
Despite
if anything, that's getting in the way.
Because if anything, that's just, yeah. If anything, most of what that is actually just feeding the sense of being a person. Actually,
yes.
So like this story is, in the story there was meditation, and what's been said for 12 years is it was despite the meditation, despite it, not because of it. Which then some people sometimes they hear the meditation, they come in only very briefly because they don't like what I'm saying then, because they really want me to say is that the meditation brought something about. And I've never said that. I've always said the opposite. I've said nothing brought anything about, because there's already just everything being nothing. Yes. But it would be despite that then, that because there would be the sense, the logical thing would be to think that some sort of openness was there as a result of that, and then that brought something about, because that makes sense to that totally makes sense. This is very frustrating for the person, because it's the continual...
the impossibility.
Go on, sorry.
The impossibility is compounded by the notion that that it's already.
Yeah, it's already just, this is, you are unconditional love. You are nothing being everything. Just, there's no you there that's speaking. You didn't just speak there. There's just speaking. There's just, maybe you're sitting somewhere. There's just sitting. There's just, you probably have the Zoom on the computer. So there's whatever is being looked at, then there's whatever is being seen throughout the room. There's just what's appearing to happen. And then the person is always then has this addition, adding themselves to everything. So there's me here. There may be a sense that you just spoke there. I'm speaking, or that you're hearing this voice then. You're hearing the sounds. And that contracted energetic sense that, excuse me, of being a you, that all the senses poured through, it's real until it isn't.
Yeah.
It feels really, really real, and there's no, There's no sense here that anything can be said or suggested or anything that can in some way soften that. In fact, this suggestion can sometimes even strengthen that. Some people come in and their sense of me is fortified in a way, because to them it's such a ridiculous confronting thing that their sense of being a person is even stronger. And then that's just what's appearing to happen, because it's all a play of light anyway. So
it answers the question that there is no such thing as vulnerability to this apparent shift.
What there is, the way I'd put it is, there is an openness that's not your openness. It's nothing to do with you or what you think of as you or the concept you have about yourself or anything. It's nothing to do with that. But there can just be kind of a sensitivity or an openness to this, what's just been suggested here over the last hour. And when there is, it can just be, and there's no predicting when that can be there or how that can be there. And there can be an openness to it and simultaneously a strong sense of being a person. So the two appear to play out side by side. And that's how you very much get a very strong push-pull thing for people in meetings. They're amazed by what's said, but they're also they can feel very confronted maybe sometimes as well simultaneously.
Thank you.
If there was something that could be somehow open you up to this, then you're into a different thing straight away, because that would mean really that there is really a you then that can be opened up in some way. And that's what 99% of what's being told to people is. It is about that, preparing, readying, softening the you, all of this. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff about there being only what's appearing to happen, only oneness, whatever words you use, but the most of them are then speaking to the artificial individual, which is what appears to happen. Thanks, Andy. I'll get back to you also about your I need to get back to you, and thank you for your kind invite. I need to try and sort out a few things, but I'd be very much open to that. Actually, it'd be nice.
Cool.
So
great.
So so thanks, guys. I think I'll just put a link there again. I really appreciate people who contribute. It's really appreciated. Thank you very, very much. I've got an in-person meeting in 21st and 22nd of May, but I need to do some kind of promotional stuff and videos separate to it anyway, but that's going to happen in a couple of weeks. So real and unreal meetings, so we'll see. There might be a Zoom component to it too, but I want to try and get the meeting right first. Thanks a million. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Take care.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Take care.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Thanks.